Hello, this is Dr. Stephanie D. Barnes, CEO of C-Suite Women's Network, where I help women and a few good men to be the CEOs of their lives so they can be better CEOs in their businesses. And today, I want to introduce a 5-part series, Communicating Like a CEO, how to engage and not enrage your team. Communication is an incredibly important aspect of any relationship. A business relationship is no different. There was a survey of over 400,000 companies that had at least 100,000 employees, and they cited that over $62 million was lost per year because of inadequate or poor communication. And communication was the number one reason for people leaving the companies. When you looked at the top 3 reasons that people left companies, they were communications related: a lack of direction from their leaders, poor communication overall, and uncommunicated change. So really, as a CEO, not only are you the chief executive officer, but you are the chief communication officer. Because whether you are literally the CEO of a business or the leader of a team, you have to take on this responsibility of being a great communicator. So in this segment 1, I want to introduce just some basics that are really fundamental, but are often overlooked in terms of the importance of engaging with your team. So today I want to talk about speaking so that you will be understood. There are some basic things that we need to embrace as leaders in order to engage and not enrage our team. Simple things like eye contact. Making eye contact with another human being lets them know that you care, that you're connected to them. We also have to watch our gestures and facial expressions. Like, I am a thinker, and when I think, I frown. So if I'm not careful, I walk around frowning at people all the time. They think I'm angry when nothing is quite the truth. So we have to be aware of what we look like when we talk to people. Look in the mirror sometimes and see, how do you look when you're excited? How do you look when you're thinking? How do you look when you're really mad? Because it's really important that your facial expressions convey the message that you want people to hear. Also, your posture and your movement is very important. You want to be sure that when you're engaging with people, that if you don't intend to be intimidating, that you're not standing over them or standing in a way that makes it suggest that you're about to fight, right? So it's really important to be cognizant of that. Also, it's important to think about how you say things. I know that I have a colleague that I work with that irks me to no end because she thinks she is being kind and customer service oriented, but the tone of her voice and the way she talks to people makes people, it's if she's talking to either a child, an animal, or an adult with cognitive deficiencies. And it's very insulting and condescending. So even the most simplest of requests that's otherwise reasonable, because of the way she says it, comes across as something offensive. And so this is something I have to constantly work with and also think about myself before responding. So think about, how are you speaking to people? Are you talking to them in a condescending tone? Because if you tend to have a dry personality or witty personality, what you may think as being witty may come across as just downright condescending. So think about that. Also think about the delivery. I know for many people, they're not professional speakers, and speaking to people, even in a small setting, can be nerve-wracking. So make sure that you're not coming across as uneducated or uninformed because of your delivery. Watch for words and fillers, ums, uh-huhs, can you hear me? All those types of things may be fillers that you use to think about what you're going to say next, but they come across as an unpolished delivery. Also think about humor. Now, sometimes humor is really great, but sometimes humor is offensive. If you're not a good joke teller, don't tell jokes, but be mindful of how people receive what you intend as humor. And then the final thing that I want to say is, think about your conversation as truly a conversation and not an oration, meaning you've got to look for listener involvement. What are their facial expressions? Are they making eye contact? Are they engaged, or are they like, whatever? Have they checked out of the conversation? And for those of you who are women CEOs, it's really important to make sure that if you have a high-pitched voice, that you are mindful of that so that you still sound authoritative. Because some people will dismiss high-pitched voices because they sound infantile to them and they don't take you seriously. So for God's sake, don't giggle when you're trying to deliver something that is serious. There's a time to be funny and there's a time to giggle, but when you are delivering a CEO message, that is not the time. Some people will do that nervously, and that's their filler, so be conscious of that. So I hope that this has been helpful to you. I want you to really think about how you communicate to those that you want to engage. Are you communicating in a way that engages, or are you communicating in a way that enrages? Because as the CEO of your life and as the CEO of your business and as a leader, you are the chief communications officer. And what you say can make a big difference in how far you go, how you're able to succeed, and the relationships that you build or destroy if you're not careful. So I hope that this has been helpful to you, and I look forward to connecting with you in the next segment of the series, Communicating Like a CEO, How to Engage and Not Enrage Your Team. Thanks a lot.